So I'm sure you guys remember when we built this bushcraft oven here for our Thanksgiving dinner. What I really needed that day was a buck saw. Today, we're gonna make one. Let's get it. Okay, so I've wanted to make a buck saw here for a while. I really love my silky saw, but in some instances a buck saw would be so much easier. I watched a bunch of videos. I had a general idea on how to do it. I watched Corporal's Corner, Dave Canterbury, and I went through all of them. All of them are fairly simple and they do a great job. But the one I really liked was a very simple bushcraft buck saw, and that was made by Coalcracker Bushcraft. So that's the one we're going to go and try to replicate today. So this is not my design. This design is Dan Wowaks from Coalcracker Bushcraft. So we're going to give it a shot. Let's see what we can do. So this is after work. I'm kind of gonna have to hurry here because I'm running out of light already. But this should be a fairly simple project, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this the cherry that we cut the other day, and we're gonna actually use the silky saw to build the buck saw. But we're gonna find some pieces of this cherry, and I think we can make it work pretty simple. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna knock some of the limbs off of these trees here. Clean them up just enough that I can see what I'm doing. I need to get a couple good straight pieces out of this. Okay, so I couldn't get a 21-inch saw. All I could get was the 24-inch saw. The only problem with that is it'll make it harder to get into our pack. Which, you know, it's not the end of the world. So in this stretch here, there is a decent straight piece right here. And so I'm gonna take my silky saw, which I got right here, and this is relatively the same thickness, pretty close anyway on both ends. So I'm going to just take my silky saw and I'm going to make me a notch on either end. Now it doesn't have to be exactly the same length, it needs to be pretty close, or just a hair shorter than this to work. But we're going to go ahead and cut this off, and then I'm going to need two that are roughly half this distance, and we'll do a little carving. I'll make me a toggle for the top side for the windlass, and we'll be in business. So let's get these cut up. Okay, so now you can see I've got all my pieces together. I've got the cross piece and the two uprights and a piece to make the toggle. So now we've got to trim these things down, make them nice and smooth, and make a kit that will fit together simply, quickly, and work great. All I'm doing here is kind of smoothing these up and just kind of truing the sides up just a little bit to make it easier to work with. I love the tomahawk for that kind of task. Okay, so calling this a bushcraft bucksaw, what we're saying is it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. You chip a little piece out there, it's not the end of the world. You're not making a piece of art here. You're making something that will be useful in the field and that, you know, will do what you need it to do and won't take a ton of time to make. Wow, that sun went down quick on us yesterday. So as you saw, I was cleaning up the cross piece on there, and what I've got is I've got both sides of this thing cut down fairly even and square. This is a little bit bigger than you would have to use, but I just kind of wanted to use what I already had and didn't want to cut down anything else. So I went ahead and got us two pieces like this, and what we're going to do now is we're going to come up about maybe a third of the way and trim us off two good flat spots on either side of that. So that's going to be what we're going to work on now. You'll see here in just a second why I want these flat spots on here. It'll make sense. I'll make sense here in just a few minutes. Okay, so it's going to be pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're going to take our long piece and our uprights, and we're going to mount these things together like this with some cordage. And it'll make it pretty easy to put together, and you know, it's not going to be as much as trying to carve them all to fit. So it'll make it a little easy to go together, or a little easier to go together. So but the next thing we're going to do before we put this thing together is we're going to take some of this number 36 bank line, and we're going to do a straight lash around here. That way we can cut us a slit in there for our saw blade to go into. So I've got my pieces lashed up at the top there. Now, I didn't quite get them just right, but this, like I said, this is not supposed to be a art project or anything. This is just supposed to be something that you can throw together in the woods and get you something made up that you can use. So next, we're going to take our paracord here, and you want the paracord without the string inside it. Now I've already removed the string out of this paracord, but what you're going to do, let's set this aside. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a jam knot on this and tie this piece to this piece. Now, the reason you take the string out of this is because this will tighten up and stretch on itself and really lock down. Like I said, this is Dan Wowaks' design, and I watched that video several times, and I really like the way it turned out and how simple it was. So what we're going to do is we're going to go across here. We're going to tie these two pieces together with a jam knot. Okay, I went ahead and made one side of it up so you can see what we're doing. Now let me show you how to do it. If you don't know how to do a jam knot, there are plenty of tutorials online to show you how to do a jam knot. I may do one of those here in the future. It's fairly simple though. Actually, let me just show you real quick. So you put a stop knot on the end of your cord, you make a loop, and you're just going to come around. This is why I don't teach knots. So you make a loop like that, come around it, and come back through like that, and then you just kind of pull it like that. Now when you tighten that thing on there, it'll cinch down really tight. So what we're going to do is we'll start out with these two pieces on here like that. So we're going to bring this up, like this. Now we've got to have a piece up top to put our windlass on, so we're going to leave this thing kind of high, and we're going to loosely put that jam knot on there like that, and just kind of snug it up just a little bit. Then we're going to go the opposite direction of the way we want this thing to end up, and you'll see why we're going to do that in a second. But we're going to take this thing, we're really going to crank down on this, really get that jam knot as tight as we can get it like that. And then we're going to put our stopper knot in here, and that's just going to keep this thing from being able to back up and loosen up. So now what you're going to end up with is this piece is going to have a lot of tension on it when you go to crank it, and it's actually going to be tightening up this knot as you go. Now we're going to add another knot on here that will hold it in place. Okay, that's what I get for hurrying. I had to take this thing back apart and redo it again because I put my second side on the wrong side of my center board, so that's obviously not going to work. So now that you've got it this way, as you turn it, it's going to crank down. Now we're going to add a cross piece across here that will hold it in place, and once we get that piece on there, we're almost home free. Then we can cut our checks in there for the blade to go in, put our windlass on there, and we're pretty good. So we're going to get that cross piece put on there and tighten her down. Okay, now I've got this cross piece on there. I want to go ahead and put just a little stopper knot on the end of it here, and that'll just kind of hold this jam knot in place so it doesn't back off of there. I'll cut this end off here, and then let's cut some checks in here for our blade. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take our knife and we're going to cut our check right into this board, or right into this upright. Just like that. Now we're going to come around here. We're going to line this thing up. We're going to cut us another one in here. Like that, and try not to cut our ropes. And now I think we can add us a blade. So now what I've done is I've made a couple of just little wooden dowels that will fit through this hole. So once we put the blade through there, we can slide that through that hole, and then we can put our tension on the blade. So now what we're going to do next, we're going to go ahead and get this blade down into our upright. You know, be real careful not to get your hand cut on this blade while you're doing this. Work that thing down in there good. Like that. Now you'll be able to put your pin in there in a second. And then we're going to get the other side in here. And we'll put our windlass on and lock this thing down. Okay, so here's what we got. It's a crude yet workable bucksaw. The only thing we have to do now is tighten up our windlass. And so I've got us a little, I carved this thing out. You don't have to do that. You can put just a little peg or just a little simple toggle or something in there. But now we're gonna just tighten this windlass up, get it good and snug. And that's gonna get our blade good and snug. That should work. I'm gonna get this thing down a little lower so it doesn't pop on me. Something like that. Now, we got a good, sturdy bucksaw. Now let's take it over here and see if it works. Okay, so we've got our bucksaw made. All that's left to do is test it out. So let's see if this thing works better. Now, this is a piece of that green wood that I used to build this thing. It's green oak. And it was kind of tough to cut with that silky saw, to be honest with you. But this, because of the sawing action of your hand being up and down instead of like this, should make the process a little easier. Well, there you have it. It will cut. This is a simple little project, guys. Now, in all seriousness, it probably needs some fine tuning. Throughout using it, it loosened up a little bit, and I had to retighten my windlass, which is not a huge deal. But, you know, it's just something that it takes some fine tuning as you're going. So, but this project was just going to be a simple little project, a little bushcraft bucksaw. Just something that you could do when you get to camp, so you don't have to carry the whole thing around with you. You could just carry your blade. Listen, guys, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, I want to thank you for watching the video. I want to ask you to go back and watch our backlog of videos and check out the other videos we have. If you like what you see, give us a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down there for me. I really appreciate you guys hitting that thumbs up button. I'll be honest with you, everybody's been killing it the last couple of weeks, and it has bumped our videos up to the suggested videos, and we're getting a lot more views than we were before. I really appreciate that. Also, we have a video that was a simple little video that has surpassed 6,000 views. It boggles my mind. I would have never thought it. I know that's not a lot for, you know, some channels, but for me, that's huge. And I appreciate all you guys that have watched that video. And I'll leave a link in the card up here in case you want to watch it again. So, next week, there won't be a video next week. we are setting up for our 100th video. This video is number 99. We're setting up for our 100th video, and we've got a really cool video planned for that. So next week there won't be a video, but Christmas Eve will be our 100th video. We'll do it as a premiere. So I'll expect all of you guys to join us in the live chat for that. That's gonna be really cool, I think. So I want to say again, thank you for watching these videos. Also, we are at 296 subscribers. We need 4 subscribers to hit our 300, and that'll be 250 subscribers that we've gained in the last year if we can hit 300 by Christmas Eve. So that will be absolutely awesome, and you guys are awesome. So thanks again for supporting the channel, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you next time.